In this quick video, you're going to learn the key strategy to multiply your productivity by 1,000 times. I'm going to walk through the process in detail, so be sure to watch to the end. So in this case, what I've done, I've created a number of different tabs, and each tab is to consider a particular basically feature or bug fix that we need to evaluate. So this first one, I'm giving it a fairly detailed set of tasks, basically saying, that there was, something that was not correctly written to the database, and then I'm saying, here's what actually should happen. Here are the steps. And some of the key things I'm doing, I'm saying, please audit our code and create a detailed set of recommendations for how to implement these changes, and then don't make any changes yet. Okay? And then I'm also giving it basically a command that it could, so that it could see what I ran to get the results that I didn't like. This will tell it basically where to find the log file if it needs, and then also basically the entry point so it can evaluate the flow. So after I kick this off, I go to another one. This is sort of similar. I'm saying, hey, there are some rows that were, not written correctly. What do you recommend? I'm saying, please audit my implementation and make some expert recommendations after careful analysis. Don't make any changes yet. All right, so you can see a kind of a pattern here. I'm looking for recommendations that are grounded in something material that I'm asking it to evaluate. Now, this is a more specific change, right? This was not just, in this other case, I'm looking at issues with infographics and extracted images from a PDF. And in the next tab, this is actually from a tabular data extraction. So this is a different use case. And then also same thing here. Ran a command, but I noticed that thumbnails were missing, right? So this is yet a different issue. And so I'm giving it some detail about that. Now, sometimes what I'll do here is I will, if I think that some of the information it needs is an upstream dependency, then I will drop in a reference to one of those upstream dependencies. Notice these are in my git ignore. I'm not showing that. Oh, actually, I am showing that here. Git ignore. No, it's up here somewhere. So upstream. So I've got my dependencies. So, but I've added them as. Let's see if I go to my cursor ignore. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So I've added it explicitly so that cursor can read these. So notice there's this not here. So I'm saying don't ignore this directory, but I don't want to commit it to Git. So that allows me to I can click, I won't do it now, but I can click and drag and drop this and say, hey, here's some upstream code that you might need to look at. Okay, so then same thing, give analysis. Similar thing here. This is kind of a specific issue, basically. And then here's kind of another key phrase. Please audit our implementation and create a set of recommendations. These other two are basically the same things, okay, on different subtasks. Now, after I get these recommendations, it'll do its analysis. This is GPT-5 high specifically. It's not just GPT-5. You've got to specifically enable GPT-5 high in the Cursor models. So to enable GPT-5 high, let me show you how to do that. So you go to Cursor settings right here. This is, of course, on a Mac. It'll be a little different on Windows. Okay, and then you go down to models, and usually you've got to scroll all the way down to the bottom to go to this view all models. And you'll see a number of GPT-5 options that you probably didn't even know existed. Now you don't see GPT-5 high right here because I've already selected it. But once you toggle it and enable it, then you can select it from the menu here. Now you'll also notice this GPT-5 high fast. It is twice as expensive. I personally haven't noticed much of a difference in performance. It apparently helps with scheduling. So maybe if there's a situation of high demand, when you notice it's giving you a slower response time, it might give you better performance. But I just use the regular GPT-5 high. Anyway, so here it gave a detailed set of recommendations, and I looked through these, and there are a couple of things that I didn't quite like. So I gave it some feedback. So we don't need thumbnails since page level thumbnails are incorrect. So I said, please create a final concrete set of recommendations with this in mind. Right? So it gives me that set. and I happen to like it, sometimes I'll go through numerous rounds of that kind of review and adjustment process. In this case, it did a pretty good job in one shot. So it looks great. Now this is another key phrase. Please create a detailed set of to-dos. You have to say to-dos in this way for each of the recommended tasks. And boom, create 17 of them. And then I can say, please complete all to-do items, and then report back to me when you've completed all of them. And it literally will just go and knock out each of these things. Look at this. It's been running. It's got 13 of 17 done. I haven't had to do anything. It's just going through and knocking them out. And then afterwards, I'll have it, run the tests. And a lot of times the tests are correct. I think sometimes the tests are a little bit biased in favor of what it wrote. But one of the key things is I'll then tell it to review the code that's been written and check for any issues. Because, it's doing all these kind of separate tasks. Sometimes they're not all, perfectly compatible. So I'll have it do a review step, and a lot of times it'll catch other issues. Now, since I've noticed that the unit tests it creates seem to be a little bit biased in favor of the code it wrote, what I found to be more effective in terms of testing strategy is to create integration tests, where you're passing it things like external files or trying to connect it to external dependencies, basically anything that it wouldn't already know within the code that it wrote. That seems to be a really effective way to expose issues. Now, those tests, of course, are going to be more brittle than unit tests that have like mocks and stubs and things like that. So use them wisely. But I found that it can, especially during the initial code that you're writing, it can really help expose issues that you otherwise wouldn't have noticed. That's especially important when you've got multiple things that are happening, in different tabs, because in case they introduce incompatibilities, you want to make sure you catch them. And then basically for each of these, we'll kind of go through this process. Same thing here, there are a bunch of recommendations. After some reviews, I got 22 to-dos. And now I need to tell it to complete those, so I'll do that in here in a minute. But hopefully you get the point here. This allows me to be super productive and get a lot done with Cursor and with GPT-5 And don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this content. Also, please let me know what you think in the comments below.